Today, we will talk about how do we convert angle measures. Now, you need to know that there is two ways to represent angles. The first way is the way that you're more familiar, which is in degrees. But now know that in trig, you're going to be seeing some type of measurement. That measurement is called a radian. Now, we use these two type of measurements to just measure angles. Radians is usually expressed in terms of pi's, and degree is the kind of angles that you have seen in your geometry classes and in previous materials that you have seen. Now, there is a way for us to go between those two measurements. Now, the main idea for today is that radians and degrees are two ways to measure angles. We can convert any degree into radian and vice versa. We can convert a degree into a radian, and the other way around. We can convert radian measurements into degrees. So today we're going to see how can we go back and forward between those two measurements. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with converting degrees into radians. Now, if you want to end up with radians and you've been given degrees, you need to multiply your degree by pi over 180. If you want to go from degrees to radians, you need to obtain your degree and you need to multiply it by pi over 180. So now let's see. Let's try to convert the following degrees into radians. Now, how can I express this 40 degrees into radians? Well, according to my formula here on top, I'm going to get my degree, which is 40, okay? And I'm going to multiply it by pi over 180. So now we have, well, this 40, we can put it over 1. So now 40 times pi, that's 40 pi. 1 times 180 over 180. So this is the radian representation of 40 degrees, but we always want to simplify our fractions. Now, is there a way for me to simplify? Okay, what's going on here? Is there a way for us to simplify 40 divided by 180? Well, let's see. 40 divided by 180. Now, in your calculator, if you press math and you press fraction, the calculator can simplify fractions for you. So 40 divided by 180, it's equal to 2 nines. So that means that this expression, I can simplify it as 2 pi over 9. This is the radian representation of a degree. And again, radians always have pi's. Please keep that in mind. When we talk about radians, there's always going to be a pi in front of it. All right, so let's try another example. Now let's do 210. How can we convert 210 degrees into radian measurements? Well, again, I'm going to get my radian. I'm going to get my degrees. And I'm always going to multiply by the same 180. Pi over 180. Now we can put this 200 over 1. Now that this becomes 210 pi over 180. Now again, let's try to see if we can simplify this fraction. 210 divided by 180. Well, let's see. Our calculator can simplify it for us. So that's 210 divided by 180. Again, if you press math under the fraction option, now you have this. So now let's press enter. So it's 7/8. So that means that 210 pi divided by 180 pi, that's the same as 7 pi over 6. Again, all we're doing here, we're going from degrees to radians. And in order to make that conversion, you just need to get your degree and multiply it by 180, pi over 180. So let's see our last example here, 300. Let's convert these degrees into radians. So how do we do that? You're going to get your degrees, and you're going to multiply by pi over 180. 301. So now 300 times pi, that's equals to 300 pi. 1 over 180. 1 times 180, so it's 180. So now let's see. Is there a way for me to simplify 300 divided by 180? Well, you get 300 divided by 180. Fraction, enter. So now this becomes 5 pi over 3. It's pretty simple. You're always going to get your degree and always need to multiply by pi over 180. It's always going to be multiplied by the same expression, pi over 180, if you want to go from degrees to radians. But what if you want to go the other way? What if you've been given radians and you want to convert to degrees? Well, it's the opposite. Instead of multiplying pi over 180, if you want to go from radians to degrees, you flip it. You get your radian and you multiply by 180 divided by pi. So again, if a measurement has a pi on it, that's radian. So here we want to convert this radian into degree. So how do we do that? Well, you're going to get the radian that is given, 18 times, always going to be the same, 180 over pi. Now notice that here the pi's will cancel out. And now you end up with 180 divided by 18. And try to always simplify your answer. So let's do that. 180 divided by 18. So now we got 10. So this is equal to just 10 degrees. Well, that was pretty simple. Now, let's try another example. And again, what we're doing here is we're going from radians to degrees. We're just converting, that's all. Now let's try to convert this radian into degrees. So how do we do that? Well, you're going to get the radian that is given, pi over 3. And I'm going to multiply by 180 over pi. What do you notice? The pi's will cancel out. And now I have 180 divided by 3. Well, let's see. Is there a way for us to simplify that? Well, let's find out. 180 divided by 3. That is equal to just 60. So now we have 60 degrees. Lastly, let's look at example 3. Let's convert this radian into degrees again. So we're going to have 41 pi divided by 36. And again, if you want to convert it into degree, you do 180 over pi. Notice that the pi's will cancel out. Now let's look at the numerator. 41 times 180. 41 times 180. That's 73. 80 divided by 36. Well, let's see. What does that give me? Okay, I'm going to press mathematics, fraction, enter, and that gives me exactly 205 degrees. Now here's your entrance ticket. Try to convert the following.